Welcome, Warrior fans. This week we are all access with head football coach Tom Sawyer. Coach, thanks for joining us. It's great to have you. Obviously, an exciting spring with a new hire defensive coordinator and a great spring game. Just talk about some of the changes and maybe your thoughts on the spring game.
Yeah, well, overall, I really think spring went well. The number one criteria, of course, is no surgeries. Nobody got hurt, majorly injured anyway. So I think that's always a plus. I think adding we had some new dynamics this year. Like you talked about hiring Jason Petrino, a football name around America. Most people have heard of Bobby Petrino. This is be his nephew. That we hired off the Wyoming staff, and he came in here and brought a new energy and a change. And of course, we're very sad to see Coach Entz leave, but he had a new opportunity down in Northern Iowa, and in comes a guy at Division I experience and with a new package. And I think it was good for us, a kind of a breath of fresh air. And we also have a new GA on that side of the ball that also came down from Michigan Tech. So a couple new faces on the defensive side, but it gives kind of the kids a new opportunity. Maybe some young kids a chance to say, hey, this guy doesn't know me, we'll see what happens. And we saw a little bit of that during the spring. But overall, spring game, I thought went very well, Travis. I'm sure we'll talk about a lot of the things that went on there, but we've created a game day event during the spring game with all kinds of activities. So overall, very, very excited about where we are in Warrior football.
It was an excellent atmosphere out, a very good crowd, and I agree. Created some things with the Winona State clubs, and it was an outstanding event. Switching gears a little bit, talk about the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, I think a lot of questions on quarterback maybe, and a good battle. So talk a little bit about the quarterback position next year.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting. Obviously it's the number one position on the field, just like a point guard is in a basketball court or the pitcher in softball or whatever it would be in baseball. But, we really have three guys that really battled it out this spring, and I think at times I was comfortable with any of them. But I really think the one guy who made the biggest strides during the spring was probably Brian Bradshaw. He played very, very well the last couple weeks. Alex Nelson was kind of the leader going into the final round or the last couple weeks. He had a good spring, and also Evan Aber missed a couple practices early in the year, but came back and threw the ball as well as any of them. We know he's got a big, powerful arm, but just learning our offense and putting it in motion is something that he's got to continue to work on. So going into the fall, I feel very good about all three of those guys. And you got guys in the backfield like Rayon Simmons and Theo Burkett and Curtis Dewberry and Eric Swan, and it kind of goes on at receiver, and also, of course, Derek Engel, one of the fastest kids we've ever had in our program. So all the quarterback really has to do is manage it, deliver the football, hand it off to the good guys. And I really think the biggest surprise was probably the offensive line in the spring game. They really came together, played very well, and we rushed for a bunch on Saturday.
That's great to hear. Should be an exciting fall season. Talk a little bit about, I think, over the summer, a great time for student athletes to develop on their own. Where do they go from Winona State, and what do they do over the summertime?
Well, we have about half our kids stay in Winona. Some are taking classes, but most of them are working part-time jobs or those kind of things. But the number one goal for the summer is to just get bigger and stronger. It's another heavy lift time for our football players, and it's also a chance for those guys to kind of relax a little bit from school and take their mind off it for a little bit, so they come back energized in August. But the number one thing is really trying to get to see if there's somebody that takes that next jump over the summer months. And a lot of times, you can tell in about one day of practice who really put the time in over the summer and who didn't. And I think where our program needs to be, we were a game out of the playoffs last year, and that time during the summer months is where we need to take the next jump.
Absolutely. And, first up, Carson Newman again, obviously a good opponent, but, just talk a little bit about the 2010 season.
Well, I think it's really exciting. I think we got 5 night games this year, afternoon and night games, which is, people love that playing at night. And we have one here with Mankato, which will be a great game. And of course, a big homecoming game like we always have. But going into the season, Carson Newman, they'll be ranked in probably the top 5 in the country coming in. They got beat in the semifinals last year. We got to go to their place, so we'll fly down to Atlanta, take a couple buses over to Jefferson City, Tennessee, and we're not going to sneak up on them this time. So it's going to be difficult for the Warriors, but very excited for the challenge. The thing is, playing a team that's in the top 10, as you well know, going through all your years here, is that game, win or lose, will make us better and have a higher power quotient at the end of the year.
Absolutely. Should be a fantastic season. We're looking forward to it. This has been All Access with head coach Tom Sawyer.